human trafficking. It's a record 288 people arrested.
They're not reporting the real numbers.
The numbers are segmented and they are fictitious.
I started my career in 1997 in the United States Border Patrol. It was one of the most violent times in recent Border Patrol history. I made my bones and my reputation on that border. I believe what is happening on the border today is intentional.
We have people in the United States of America that breed children in order to sell them.
Our own government is facilitating the absolute destruction of the American immigration system, and I can prove it point by point. I'm unafraid to speak the truth. This is just data-driven and experience-driven.
I want to say thank you to the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, because without his backing, I would not be able to be here today. I want to say thank you to the 0.03% of people that are actually worth a flying you-know-what at the Pentagon. Let's see. We've got Sean Parnell. We've got Tammy Radabaugh. We got Kingsley Wilson, the new press secretary for the Pentagon. We have Dear America alumni firmly in the Pentagon. Amjad, Royce, you guys are killing it absolutely across the board. I would not be able to be back here if it wasn't for every single one of you. Ladies and gentlemen, boy, oh boy, you thought that I was mad before. You thought that I had things to tell you before. Wait, oh wait, until you see what the swamps of DC has done to me. You see, for so long, I knew that things were bad. For so long, I knew it was rough. But I'm here to declare to you today in my Paul Revere moment, just like he said, the British are coming. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to tell you today that the war is not over in DC. We won a battle. And we got in there, sure. But the war is not over. The shadow government exists. Those that want to tank everything that we believe in, they are still there. They are still lurking around like blood-sucking vampires in the devil's butthole known as DC. Because we've got a country to save, and I will not allow it to be taken from us. And we've got a midterm to win. We've got a 2028 election to win. We've got cesspool career Democrats still in every agency and aspect of the government. Ladies and gentlemen, Daddy's home, and I cannot wait for what happens next.
Welcome to Truth with JJ. That is someone that I have been following for a long, long time, Graham Allen. Graham Allen is a social media phenom. He is legit. That's not an act. That is how he speaks. He's been speaking like since day one I've seen him. He works for Pete Hegseth as kind of like a consultant. I don't know his actual title, but he's in the belly of the beast in the Pentagon and the DOD. It's refreshing. I mean, I wish that he would come and say, hey, we're winning. We're cleaning this out. It's all good. It's not as bad as we thought. That's not true. We all knew it. He's inside of it. So I can only imagine. When I can't imagine. I know. I was inside of it. I was inside of the United States Border Patrol. I watched everyone begin to become complicit in the treason. Months after Joe Biden took office, I watched it all happen. I watched the people that are in power in the Border Patrol, from DC all the way down, begin to capitulate. And those people that are capitulating are now in positions of authority even higher, unbelievably. So I've seen the corruption. I lived it. And it just wasn't during Joe Biden's time. I lived it under Obama. I lived a little bit under Clinton and absolutely under Bush. I lived under the first 2 years of Donald Trump as Republican Party stymied everything that he wanted to do, similar to today. Graham Allen's absolutely on point with his frustration, his anger, his resentment, his feeling. Watch him. If you want to see that again, go watch that again. And one thing that I want you to focus on is there is a sense of dire urgency, right? That's what you feel. I'm watching it. I feel that he feels time. He has to score 21 points, 3 touchdowns in the last 7 minutes of the Super Bowl. And there's no time, not even one play, excuse me, not one play, not a punt, not a kickoff return, not a 3rd and 1, not a 2nd and 5. We can't fail on any more plays. We have to win every single play to win this game. That's how he feels. You can sense it. That's how I feel. I feel like we are in the Super Bowl. We're down 21 points. We have a great team, and we all believe we can win, but we all know, dear God, we cannot make one mistake. I hope that's a wake-up call. If you know Graham Allen, like I do from watching him for years now, I want you to listen to what he said again and feel his passion, because inside of that anger and that resentment is fear. I have it. I share it. The fear is that we're not going to be able to get what we need done. The fear that our side is actually the enemy. That the corruption, the level of deceit and treason in our own federal government is so deep, so entrenched, that there's no way getting it clean. You have to burn it to the ground. That's just the truth. A real change in Washington, D.C. would be closing departments immediately, shutting them down overnight, finding out which ones that should be kept, and then scattering them to the far corners of America. So there's no more power structure. There's no more collusion, walking across one street to another into another building and then getting your buddy shake your hand and say, I'll take care of you, take care of me. No, you're now going to have to go to the Agriculture Department in Nebraska, and then you're going to have to go to Portland, Oregon for IT, and then you're going to have to go to the FBI. The museum of FBI is going to be in Kansas City, Kansas. Maybe that is what was so unnerving listening to Graham Allen, was hearing the fear mixed in with all the other emotions. I'm not saying he's fearful, meaning he's afraid and he's afraid to make a move. No, he has fear because he's looking at the monster that he has to slay, and he he can slay it. But my God, it's going to come at a tremendous cost. And there's a probability that we might not win. I might not be able to slay that dragon. That's the fear. Here's someone else that I respect, Dan Bongino. And I'm giving him more grace than I would normally give people, because I can't imagine the enormity of the problems that he is undertaking. Would I work differently if I was in a position similar to that? Like if I was put in a high-ranking position within to handle border issues? And maybe this is why I've never been called, is because I would burn it to the ground. I would be deporting people nonstop. I'm watching videos of Hernando Arce, who I have had on my show, and I've asked him to come on next week, because he is still finding NGOs still trafficking families and children across America. What in God's name is going on? Another ICE director was fired. Stephen Miller just blasted the immigration officials that they are failing. Here's maybe something to Stephen Miller, anybody listening. Do you know, sir, that there are men like myself, a lot of us, that have run stations, massive task forces, know how to lead men, know how to get things done within the confines of the Constitution, but get things done, like get it done now, that have no fear, that will sell everything we have to keep America safe, as we've done for our whole careers. There is a legion of men like me waiting patiently as we see nothing, I shouldn't say nothing, see the wheels of justice grinding down the road at about 2 miles an hour when we could be going 50 miles an hour. Here's Dan Bongino. Listen to his frustration as well. I don't like how he's articulating himself lately, but that's a topic for another day. But the level of corruption, as my show is titled today, corruption, corruption, corruption. We have Graham Allen at his apex of being disturbed by corruption. Listen to what Dan Bongino talks about James Comey.
Wait till you read the stuff that's coming out.
Does he still have loyalists in the building? Because when I hear the FBI director saying, you guys are finding boxes that are hidden, okay, how does that happen in the Bureau?
Well, we were there a couple of weeks, and luckily there were a lot of people up there who grabbed us by the arm the minute we came in and said, thank you for being here. You know, we need to talk. There are people there who are really horrified at what happened. And there was a room, and we found stuff, a lot of stuff.
A hidden room.
I wouldn't call it hidden, but hidden from us at least, and not mentioned to us. And then we found stuff in there, and a lot of it's from the Comey era, and we are working our damnedest right now to declassify. And just so you know, because I get the public, I totally understand people saying, well, do it now. The process is not all the information is ours to declassify. Some is other intelligence agencies. It's not, we literally can't do it. Once that gets done and that gets out there and you read some of the stuff we found that, by the way, was not processed through the normal procedure, digitizing it, putting in FBI records. We found it in bags hiding under Jim Comey's FBI. Quickly, you're going to be stunned.
There's so much that I want to talk to you about what Dan Bongino is saying. First, the level of corruption that has to have taken place in the FBI building. It's floor 7. It's the 7th floor of the FBI. That's where all the higher ups are. So are you telling me, Dan Bongino, that the FBI agents had a special room where they would dump bags and bags and bags of evidence? What I didn't hear from Dan Bongino, and I was in a position, not as high up as he, but I was in a position that if this would have occurred, I would have suspended everyone that was involved. I would do a 48-hour, not an investigation that lasts a year. I'm talking about a simple, very fast 48-hour investigation. I want to know every single person that put something in there, knew that was there, and said nothing. I don't care if it's the entire 7th floor. I don't care if I have to suspend everyone in the whole building. And I would suspend everyone I can. I would turn all of that over to the Inspector General, and that investigation would take over a year. I want to know everything, but these people are not trustworthy. They'll still be getting paid because I don't want to suspend someone without pay that I don't know what their true knowledge was. However, I want my audience to understand, in federal law enforcement, there is a procedure and steps for everything. You get a file. Where does the file go? Well, you have to go these steps, this case file. Damn it. It goes into. And then the people that are in charge of the evidence room have a whole procedure to transfer it to another vault somewhere else off site. And there's standards and procedures to go with that. There's standards, procedures, and policy for everything. There's no way in hell. There's no way in hell that there's some office in the federal Hoover building in Washington, D.C., where it's this giant room where people go, hey, I really don't want to digitize this, and I don't want people really to know it. Okay, Bob, go down the hall. You know where that room is. You have the key. Open it up. Don't look in there, Bob. Just open it up and then throw it in there. Just throw the cases in there? Yes, Bob. Throw the cases in there. Hey, Bob, don't say anything to anybody. It doesn't exist. That room doesn't exist. Okay. That's how absurd what Dan Bongino just said. I know that you're listening to me and going, well, I'm sure that's, hyperbole, and he's making it sound worse than it is. No. That's how it is, guys. I'm not making anything up. If what Dan Bongino is saying, there's a room full under desk, copies, evidence, files, that's what I'm talking about, because no one in the FBI would do that. There's procedures and policies for everything. Let me give you an example at a station level. My guys hit a narco load on Interstate 15 coming up from the border. Say 20 pounds of cocaine, 100 pounds, just 20 pounds of cocaine. Cell phones, car needs to be seized. All the technology needs to be seized. The car stays in an impound lot until we get it towed. There's a procedure for that. The cocaine has to come in a very sterile, clean evidence room. And 2 people have to do it. And both people have to physically sign in, legibly sign in their name and the time they entered the evidence room. There's no clutter. Everything is put away perfectly. The scale is there. They weigh it. They both initial it. They put the cocaine in a safe with all the technology that is bagged up, labeled, signed, seal tampered. And then when they're done, those agents are done, another agent that has been specifically trained on how to handle evidence that has been seized, that individual has a whole nother set of steps and procedures that she or he has to go through to take all of that evidence, chain of custody, because the defense attorneys are going to attack that immediately. The chain of custody, I sign it out. Okay, you signed too that we took this. Okay, now we're taking the cocaine and the cell phones, the weapons. Now we're going to put that in a container, and now we're going to get in our vehicle, log the mileage and the time, and then we're going to drive it to an off-site that secures stuff for courts. And they hold that evidence for eternity until it hits a statute of limitation and they can burn the cocaine or whatever they got to do. Never, 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 never would the agents that made this big narcotic arrest would just throw it away. Hey, you know what? There's an evidence room there, Bob. No. Jorge, let's not put it in the evidence room. There's a room down the hall. You know that room, Bob. Let's just throw everything in there and don't tell anybody. Okay, that's a good idea. Everyone else does it. Those agents would go to jail. They'd be suspended, and then they would be OIG, and then their attorneys would plea deal to just have them resign, lose their retirement instead of going to jail. That's what would happen. That is what would happen. And yet, Dan Bongino does not even mention that anyone's suspended. So much I want to say about Dan Bongino and Kash Patel, I'm holding off. I'm just holding off. Title of my show, Corruption, Corruption, Corruption. Let's hear some more corruption from the Health and Human Services Secretary, RFK Jr. Go ahead and play this.
We spend more on healthcare in this country than any other country in the world per capita, and yet we have the worst health of any country in the world. We have the highest chronic disease burden on earth. Chronic disease is the destination of most federal expenditures in terms of healthcare. The etiology, ultimately, of all that disease is corruption. And it's the capture of these agencies by the industries they're supposed to regulate. Those industries, the pharmaceutical industry and the medical cartel, have transformed NIH, CDC, FDA, and ultimately CMS, which administers Medicaid and Medicare, into essentially sock puppets for the industry and profit centers. And they've commoditized the American public and turned us all into patients.
Do you feel attacked? Do you feel attacked on all fronts? When I make that statement and they mocked me in the halls of Congress when I was giving my testimony, oh, you said that you wanted to burn the federal government to the ground. Yes, I do. They didn't even allow me to answer. I would have been first off said, absolutely, those are my words and I own them and I want it done now. Burn it to the ground. You in one of the buildings, burn you to the ground too. You're corrupt. As I've told people before, two things that when you drive in, you drive into bridges, over bridges into Washington, D.C., into the power structure. There's two things that will happen, or at least they happen to me every time. First is the overwhelming beauty of Washington, D.C., meaning the granite statues and monuments that cover Washington, D.C. is spectacular. Spectacular, beautiful. Everything's clean. I mean, you go outside of Washington, D.C., the triangle there, and then it's poverty like you can't imagine, crime and murders, rapes, blah, blah, blah. It's horrific. But inside, and the second thing is this overwhelming sense of power, and you have none. Not a good feeling. Not a good feeling. Our founding fathers did not want a centralized government of this size. Thus, the Constitution, and thus the enumeration of rights to the federal government. We have God's natural order, men and women married to each other, having children, having cohesive family, in communion with nature. God's natural order. It works. You remove the man, you remove the woman, you remove respect and love to parents, it all falls apart. Same thing with our government, because our founding fathers absolutely believed it was divine providence that created this government. Well, we have bastardized our government from the founders. No longer are senators voted on through state representatives and state government and sent to D.C. to represent the states. No, they brutalized that in the 17th Amendment and made it just a popular vote. So now these people don't have any allegiance at all to the states. There's no pulling in the reins of a rogue senator anymore. You have to wait 6 years. By then it's done. The damage is done. We are in a world of hurt. I'm going to get into the next segment, and I want to show you how evil, not just how corrupt and how criminal our federal government is, but I want you to understand how evil they are as well. Evil to the core. Like, you can't make this level of evil up. Before I do, as the great Rush Limbaugh says, you have to pay the bills. And the way we pay the bills is for Worldview Tube is we partner with companies that we believe in, and one of those companies is Bella Grace. Shop bellagrace.com/truth. Shop bellagrace/truth. I have taken the 30-day elixir challenge. Just take it for 30 days and see what it does to your body, what it does to the inflammation in your body, what it does to your gut, your ability, your immune system, your ability to digest. We are being attacked. You just heard RFK Jr. go on and say that all those agencies are socks puppets, and those pharmaceuticals have made us patients for our lives. How do we get rid of the junk that has been put in our body unwillingly and willingly? Well, you take the elixir every day. It's like, I always say, it's like my son's old applesauce squeeze bottle. It's less than that. It tastes very good. You squeeze it in. It's like Electrolyte kind of feeling. You just squeeze it in, drink it, done, throw it away. You can even put it in your pocket of your shirt. It's so thin, so small. But it does magical things to your body. It begins to heal your gut and your immune system. Watch this young lady named Abby talk about bellagrace.com.
Elevate your skin's natural radiance with the Bella Grace Dewy Serum, your go-to for smooth, hydrating, and glowy skin. Infused with nourishing ingredients, it provides deep hydration, a soft texture, and a luminous, dewy finish. Like, come on, look at that. Whether you're at home, on the go, or heading to practice like me, Bella Grace Dewy Serum fits seamlessly into your daily routine. Glow from within all day long. Bella Grace Dewy Serum. To get your hands on this product, go to www.shopbellagrace.com/truth. Start your day with the glow that comes from within. Introducing Bella Grace Elixir, a beauty secret that nurtures your skin from the inside out. Packed with natural ingredients, Bella Grace helps collagen production, reduce fine lines, and restore your youthful glow. And the best part, Bella Grace is perfect for your busy life. Take it with you on the go wherever you go. Bella Grace Elixir. Discover the secret to timeless beauty. To get your hands on this product, go to www.shopbellagrace.com/truth.
You're watching Worldview 2, built on the 35 years of Worldview books, documentaries, research, high-profile interviews, and the radio and television broadcasts of Brannon House.
ShopBellaGrace.com/truth. Now, let's talk about the evil of our government. Tom Fenton of Judicial Watch, been doing this for, I think he's been doing it for over 20 years. I want you, if you have not heard this, shows Obama's FDA was buying fetal heads. Okay. Obama's FDA was purchasing fetal, not tissue, which they were doing as well. They were buying fetal heads. Wait a minute, JJ. Organ harvesting, that's got to be a joke, as Congressman Ivey mocked me in a congressional hearing. And as politicians say, well, the Planned Parenthood would never sell baby parts. Well, wait a minute. I didn't know they're babies. I thought they were fetuses. No, they're not fetuses. They're clumps of cells. Well, wait a minute. Those clumps of cells have a head? Have a skull? Well, yeah, we sell them. We sell heads, fresh, never frozen. That's not a tagline. That's what they asked. I want heads from babies that were aborted, but I want them fresh, and I don't want them frozen. Don't believe me? Watch Tom Fenton.
Cells. These are organs. These are baby skulls up to 24 weeks gestation. So there's no doubt that any normal person would call these a human being. And indeed, their organs are being sold, chopped up and sold. And, we have other documents in another lawsuit that we filed on behalf of the Center for Medical Progress that showed a massive operation in the University of Pittsburgh, again, funded with our tax dollars. Fauci's agency was involved in it as well. So Fauci should be asked about his agency support, in addition to gain-of-function research, chopping up organs. It was a fetal organ chop shop.
You filed a Freedom of Information request.
You can stop it there,
Caleb. The FDA, the agency, is in charge here.
A fetal organ chop shop. Holy Mother of God. Dear God, save our soul. Please, God, have mercy on us. And I don't think he will. I'm just saying. I like to say that I'm not a theologian, but I'm not an idiot either. It doesn't take a rocket scientist, or it doesn't take a theologian, or it doesn't take a person of need a PhD to read the Bible and see God destroying full-on civilizations. Sodom and Gomorrah. On and on and on. We're selling baby parts. We're funding it. I can't stand the left. I think they're evil. I can't stand the Republicans as well. Do you know, right as that I'm speaking right now, that the federal government through the Republicans are still funding Planned Parenthood? Why are we funding Planned Parenthood? Why is my tax dollars going to anyone that's associated with abortion and selling baby parts? Oh, JJ, Planned Parenthood's not selling baby parts. Dear God, if I have to talk to anyone ever again that's stupid, Tom Fitton finds it through the FOIA. I don't want my baby heads frozen. I need them fresh. I've shown this video on my podcast before, but it's worth showing again. And this is Planned Parenthood doctors talking about, flippantly, talking about aborting babies, ripping them apart, and selling their organs. Go ahead and play this, Caleb. There's a lung, there's a leg, there's an arm. She's drinking a champagne glass out of a champagne glass. The other doctor, the only thing missing with her is snapping her fingers. So happy, so gleeful, so joyful to rip babies out of mothers' wombs and carve them up and sell them. Don't tell me that I'm off base when I say that we live in the most evil society in the history of the world. Period. Period. 60 million babies just in this country have been murdered through abortion. 60 million. We're selling baby parts of the children that we are murdering. We're severing their heads and not freezing them because they want it as well preserved naturally as possible. Why? Who okayed this? There has to be a paper trail. There has to be a paper trail of who okayed this. We have to beg God for forgiveness. I've said this before. I believe Donald Trump was saved by God. Angels sent down, maybe St. Michael the Archangel, I don't know. Some angel was there standing next to Donald Trump because God did not want him to die. He's using him. Don't tell me that Trump's so flawed, God would never use him. Okay, go look at everyone that God used, said, tapped him on the shoulder and said, I'm using you. And all those men were like, I'm sorry. I know you're the king of the world and you're the divine creator, but you've obviously made a mistake. You don't want me. I am a horrific person. Nope. I chose you. So here we go. Those people in the Bible make Trump look like Mother Teresa. But that's how God works. He picks the most flawed. But he built Trump for a special reason, and the reason is for now. And he's given America a reprieve because America got on their knees and begged God. Now, God has like a stopwatch right now, and he's looking at a stopwatch, and he's like, man, oh man, you guys are running out of time. You're running out of time. And he's right. We play Graham Allen. The fear in his voice because of the depth of the corruption. You listen to Dan Bongino. He seems winded, doesn't he? He seems like he's at the end of a run and he's just like, I got to keep going. I don't know if I can, but I got to keep going. That's the feeling I get when I listen to Dan Bongino now. RFK Jr. he's like in the middle of a race where he's got his second wind and he's just laying factual truth out. But we're going to get soon enough. We're going to get to hear him in that winded mode, that frustrated Tom Homan, exasperated mode. We're going to get there real soon with him. I'm watching it closely. Tom Homan looks like he has been run through the gauntlet. He must have lost 50, 70 pounds. His suits don't even fit him anymore. That is how bad the corruption is. And on top of the corruption, we have a massive segment of our political structures and a massive segment of our population that are evil. Evil. How do we fight? Well, you got to get healthy. We talked about Bella Grace. We talked about Peg Club. Another way to get healthy is stop putting shampoos and lotions and food and water in our system, on our body, that are made by companies that put metals, plastics in our food. And then when you pay for those products that kill you or harm you, they take those profits and they give it to BLM. They give it to Planned Parenthood. They give it to the Democrat Party. They give it to defund the police. They give it to everything that you despise and you are antithetical to. So why do that? And I used to say, I don't have a choice. I have to get toilet paper. I got to get lotions. I have to go to the big box stores. Not anymore. You go to patriotsmade.com/JJ, patriotsmade.com/JJ, and get products made in America by Americans for Americans that are natural, that are, quote, green, as the left like to say. That's how you do it. That's how you take your power back. That's how you stop funding the enemy. patriotsmade.com/JJ. patriotsmade.com/JJ. I'm going to talk to you before Chris comes on from SAT123. Oh, Chris is ready. Then let's go ahead and go straight to Chris, and then I'll finish out with a story that is unbelievable. Every story now is unbelievable. Everything is unbelievable today. Honestly, if I told you last week, this is crazy, things are happening crazy, I don't know what's going to happen next week, and next week comes, which is today, and I play a clip from Tom Fenton on a FOIA showing that Obama's FDA was paying for fetal heads of babies, and that they demanded and would pay more if it was fresh, meaning if a doctor was able to hack a baby's head off and drive it to the FDA as fast as they could, they'd pay more money instead of freezing the head. You would have said, you're insane, JJ. There's no way. No way. If I told you last week, Dan Bongino is going to come on a morning show on Fox, and him and Kash Patel are going to find a room on the 7th floor or within the FBI Hoover building in Washington, D.C., where, no, they don't follow procedure. They just dump tons and tons and tons of evidence, bags and bags and bags of evidence and files and everything you can imagine, and they toss it into a room, a special room where nobody knows where it is and nobody can find any evidence. You would say, you're insane, dude. Every week I close out on my Friday, I think, what in God's name am I going to have to talk about next week? And every week, you know what's interesting? Before I bring Chris on, people used to say to me after November when Trump won, they were like, wow, man, I don't know what you're going to be able to talk about now that, like Biden's gone. And I was like, are you kidding me? I'm going to have 4 years of information pushed down on me that can last me 20 years minimum, just uncovering what's going to be discussed. We just talked about being physically, like health-wise, being prepared through Patriots Made, being physically able to stop your inflammation and have good gut health, and which is everything goes from inflammation to your gut to your extremities, and then that causes all your diseases. Well, the other way we do this is we're prepared, physically prepared for life and for the battle we're in, and that is sat123.com. And I want to bring in Chris right now. Chris, how you doing today, my friend?
I'm great, JJ. How are you, sir?
I'm good, man. Some days, I will be honest, I think, what world am I living in? Like, is this reality? And sadly, it is. I don't know. I'm not projecting that on you or your company. I'm just saying, for me, there are days where I'm just like, what in God's name is going on in this world today? It's just crazy. Do you feel that way at all personally? Just as a personal question, do you when you read and see news of the day, do you think, whoa, what am I watching?
Yeah, I mean, I wonder not only what am I watching, but why are they not telling us, what else is going on? In our business, we get to see, behind the scenes when it comes to communications, when it comes to security, cybersecurity, and all of these things. And, what's shocking is, what is going on around the world to try and destabilize this country, and how often these efforts are and how large scale these efforts are, from ransomware attacks to attacking the grid. And, we see examples of this literally every single day. We see bigger examples that kind of make the headlines when whole countries get taken offline, as happened recently in Spain and Portugal. But look, I mean, let's not kid ourselves. It's going on here too, JJ, and on a massive scale. And many companies, and many times we don't hear about it. It's like the Vegas casinos never like to admit they've been robbed, because no one wants to go to a casino that's been robbed. And no one wants to use a data center that's been hacked or is being hacked all the time. So the excuses tend to be, oh, somebody forgot a password, or during an update, something went wrong, and what do we know, right? Most people don't know about this kind of thing in detail. Why should we? It's not our job, but we're easily fooled by these kind of press releases from these companies and from state and local governments, honestly.
No, you're absolutely correct. And I just pulled out, you just said something that is the reason why I pulled this first video out. It's a short video, and it's about LA, and they have the rolling blackouts, and they're talking about how long it takes to bring it back online. And that falls into line what you just said. We hear about Spain and Portugal, and we hear the big attacks, but we don't hear the small ones, right? Like rolling blackouts for hours, and you think, okay, well, that was in California. Didn't even hear about that. Oh, they fixed it, it's okay, and everything's hunky-dory. No, it's not. And during those times, you're going to need connectivity to your family, to your friends, and to law enforcement, and that is the sat phone. And I asked you to come on today to talk about the sat phone, but I want you to watch this video and give me your thoughts when you're listening to what this gentleman's saying as you're watching the rolling blackouts go through California. Can you play this, Caleb?
Over Los Feliz, about 1:20 this morning from our helicopter. You can see the power surges that are going on, especially the middle to lower right of your screen. There are at least 4,000 customers without power in that specific neighborhood. We're still waiting for updates from the power companies regarding when power will be restored. But it's important to note that when we interviewed an official from Southern California Edison yesterday, they said once they shut off your power, there's a process. They can't just flip it back on. They got to go check the power lines, make sure, which is the reason they shut it down to begin with, because of the high winds. So they have to go and check those power lines to make sure there wasn't wind damage to them, and they can again run power through them safely. So it is a process. They said sometimes that process can take up to 24 hours from when you first have it shut off.
24 hours. It's not a switch. What's your response when you see that, your reaction?
Well, look, honestly, JJ, it makes me go back to the Enron days when I was living in California, and our electric bill went from around, $100, $150 to $50 to $100 a month. And it was caused by the lack of availability of electricity, which was manufactured by Enron. They were deliberately shutting down power stations and plants and the parts of the grid so they could inflate electricity prices. That's what happened back then, and it killed so many businesses, and it put people into bankruptcy. I mean, it was a nightmare, the whole thing. So I would say I'm skeptical at best when I see this kind of thing. It's always a good excuse to, when you have a major event, it's easy for people to believe that, oh, this is going to have a knock-on effect. But it's also a great time to take advantage of the situation. And I think, in my point of view, that was what was going on there.
Well, let me just, an article I pulled up as well, too, and I want to read just the headline of it. It's from the Gazette Teller, and it says, hold on one second. You pull it up. That's perfect. It says, grid attack exposed 150,000 plus homes left powerless. Elites engineered this blackout to block Trump, collapse America, and spread chaos. And what this article goes through is talking about exactly what you're saying. There's a manufactured crisis going on in the world, but in America as well. Rolling blackouts. We don't have enough. You talked about California. You're not making this up. I lived in California. We didn't have air conditioning. We ran the heat maybe 2 days a year. So you didn't need anything because the weather's so good. My electricity bill, I would do the same thing every single month. And my electricity bill would be 150 to 300 to over 1,000. You never knew. When you got your electricity bill, you opened up carefully because you're like, what is it? And what it was the Enron Edison, California Edison would have supply and demand issues. So when they had supply and demand issues because they couldn't get water to run, the Delta smelt, and whatever the hell they came up with, then it became a scarcity issue. And then they began to jack your rates up when you had this. It was insane. It was absolutely insane because this is manufactured. And you're going to have rolling blackouts. And you're right, Chris. If you think this isn't going to happen to America, or you think it has not happened to America, you are fooling yourself. And that's why I asked you to come on and talk about the cellular connectivity through the sat phone, which is your company's main bread and butter, is your sat phone. Can you just tell my audience the best way to get it? What's the cost of a sat phone? And then what is the monthly subscription cost? Because people get freaked out when they hear sat phone. They think of the old days where it's going to be $5,000. What is it when you go to sat 123?
Well, like the sat phone we have here, the Iridium sat phone, Iridium 9555, or the Inmarsat iSat phone 2. These phones cost between $1,000 and $2,000 anywhere else in the country. But at sat123.com, the phones are free with activation, JJ. It's a huge saving, and that makes the phones affordable to just about anyone. So you're getting the phone for free. You're paying between $95 and $100 a month, depending on the plan. And you're getting up to 150 minutes for that. 150 for that $95, and those minutes can roll over if you don't use them. But the greatest point about these, JJ, is that they literally have their own cell tower. That's it. You pull the antenna up and you're good to go. And you can see the sky. You can make or send, you can make or receive a call or send or receive a text, no matter what's going on. Like you saw with the rolling blackouts there, or the blackouts we have going on in the South right now, cell phone towers are powered by the grid. So when they go down, your cell phone's not going to work. You're not going to have any bars, no service. And that can be a life and death situation. We're also used to having our cell phones with us, available at any time to call anyone. But when you don't have that, especially when you're in the middle of an emergency like those fires, I mean, that can be, absolutely a life and death situation. So having a sat phone means that you will never not be connected wherever you are. And you can call any other number, JJ. It's not just other sat phones you can call. You call any landline, any cell phone, anywhere on Earth, and you can send or receive a text to any other cell phone from anywhere on Earth. So, and this is a lifeline. Over the last 20 years that we've been in this business, we can, I personally have seen, talked to hundreds, if not thousands of people whose lives have been saved because they had a sat phone. And so these things really are essential. And, the other great thing about these is that they do not have the kind of tracking capabilities that we see with the cell phones. Your cell phone is literally a tracking device. People can track you wherever you are to within a couple of feet. You have cameras on there that are watching you. You have mics that are listening to you. And we all know this is going on. This data has been taken and stored and archived and then sold, and pretty much never to our benefit, I don't think. But sat phones offer you privacy from that kind of surveillance, JJ.
Chris, thank you so much. Listen, I'm going to see you next week. Gosh only knows what we're going to talk about next week, right? It's that crazy. It is that crazy. Now, before I go, are you going back to Belize or anywhere warm in the very near future?
Well, we're trying to get back down there. We've been a little busy recently, so that's going to put my trip off. But I'm looking forward to it, and I'll certainly be joining you with the palm trees in the background, mate.
Do that. Just make me more angry than I am, Chris. More frustrated at the world is seeing you sunning your buns on the beaches of Belize. All right, my friend. Have a great week. I appreciate it.
You too, mate. Cheers.
All right.
Bye-bye.
sat123.com/JJ or call the number on the screen. Chris is a great dude. Great dude. Caleb, I have 5 minutes on my clock, so I want to touch on this subject, and it's going to be number 6 and number 7 and number 8 on the list. And what I'm going to talk about is it really does, everything's connected, right? Everything's connected. And I want to show you how out of touch the Democrats are, the other side. And don't think that they're insignificant, the Democrats. I don't know if I believe there's more of us than there are them anymore. I don't. Maybe they're louder. Maybe they have more access or more a higher volume on social media and, of course, in Hollywood, etc. However, even if you believe there's more of us than them, their population is significant within the total population of America. So it's very important to understand how they think, because they control the media aspect. They control entertainment. They control information. Even though we have X, they still control it. What am I talking about? I want to give you a glimpse into the mindset of Democrats. The Democrats have hired a brand new influencer called Olivia Juliana. I believe I pronounced her name right. What is her job? Her job is to attract young college-age men to the Democrat Party. Olivia identifies as a queer Latina. Okay, before I continue, let's listen to Olivia and look at Olivia. Go ahead.
Well, I also think it's just so abundantly clear that the people who say these things don't actually spend time talking to young men. You know this because we know each other in real life, but I spend a lot of time on college campuses, and I spend a lot of time with
young men.
I love young men. I love frat guys, and in that I realized, like, even the ones that identify as conservative are almost always pro-choice. They're almost always pro-gay marriage. You'd be surprised at the number of them who supported Black Lives Matter. And so I feel like people just kind of lump them into this box when the truth is, again, a lot of them are with us on the issues. They're just not part of our coalition because they feel like they're not welcomed in it.
No, sweetheart. Those single adult military age men that we call our 18 to 22, 24-year-olds that are in college do not align with your killing babies. They do not align with gay rights and being gay. Unfortunately, no. Now, if you're talking to a beta male gay man that you're being interviewed by, well, of course you live in this delusion that the red-blooded meat eaters that are in college with the testosterone and all of their hormones pumping through their body, they want to talk to you about BLM and gay rights. Sure, sweetheart. And to show you how out of touch and how mentally ill the Democrats are, they choose a very grotesquely obese lesbian to attract men. Just so we're clear on who this person is and what she looks like, this is the honeypot the Democrats have decided to attract young men with. Go ahead. Can you show this picture for me, Caleb? Yep, that's it. I can see this at the University of Texas in Austin. the University of Tennessee in Knoxville, LSU, Syracuse, University of South Dakota State, Nebraska U. Yep, absolutely. Men are attracted to that woman that is a lesbian. They couldn't even pick a woman that was heterosexual. They had to pick a woman that's a lesbian to attract men. That's how mentally ill the left is. Do I have another picture, Caleb? I think I do. Let's have one more picture just to show you who I'm talking about. Yep, there she is. Damn it, when I was sophomore in college at about 19 going on 20, I fantasized about obese lesbian women. Absolutely. Dear God Almighty. Please take that off my screen. We're heading into the weekend. This was a fast week. We live in times that make the Twilight Zone TV show look like a Saturday morning cartoon. We're selling babies' heads fresh, not frozen. We're paying for Planned Parenthood. We have people that are ringing the bell, ringing it, saying corruption, corruption, corruption. Our government is evil. It's time to listen to them because they're telling us the truth.
You're watching Worldview 2, built on the 35 years of Worldview books, documentaries, research, high-profile interviews, and the radio and television broadcasts of Brannon House.
July 6, 2005. This is Tom Harper. Man figures plankton stopped his rare cancer. We got more of a response from our viewers than anything else you and I have ever discussed.
Tom Harper, 20 years ago, he had mesothelioma, deadly lung cancer, was given weeks to live, and he just intuitively started to eat the phytoplankton out of his fish tanks because he fed the phytoplankton to his shellfish. He was a shellfish farmer. And when he went in for the surgery, the surgeon came out of the operating room and told his family, I have not ever seen anything like it. The cancer is benign, and Tom Harper lived for years. He retired in Hawaii. We're not making any claim.
Here he is in his own words.
Started on a daily routine of just taking a bit of paste, putting it in my mouth, and wash it down with a drink of water. Within about 10 to 15 days, here I am, less pain in my back. I knew that something was going on, so I just kept eating half a teaspoon of this paste a day. I was booked to go for surgery in Victoria where they were going to do what they call a talc treatment. They went in there to have a look, saw something they never seen before, took 11 sites, sent them away for biopsy. I got the news back. Everything was benign. They just did not know what to make of it. Everything was absolutely clean. And I've tried dieting all my life because I'm a diabetic. If it's a coincidence or not, I don't know. My blood sugar started dropping. My weight started falling off. Here I am, no longer requiring insulin, and I was taking 88 units a day of insulin. I can eat just about what I want in moderation, and I have no elevated sugar levels, and I feel fabulous.
People, you hear the word cancer, and they want you to be instilled with fear. Cancer is nothing but a profound failure of the immune system. And what happened with Tom Harper is the phytoplankton is microscopic. It's God's microscopic food. And the Gatatana is the most nutritionally comprehensive strain phytoplankton in the world. David Hunter studied phytoplankton for 20 years because he worked for Tom Harper and he was there in person and witnessed Tom's recovery. It's about getting pure nutrition inside your cells. And what happens, your body balances again or goes back to homeostasis. And when your body is pH balanced or in homeostasis, disease can't grow. It is literally microscopic, pure single cell plant food with protein and omega-3 fatty acids, omega-6 fatty acids, with amino acids and vitamins and minerals. 1 scoop a day. There's 90 billion plant cells in here just for everyday nutrition and energy and, cognitive support, because this is God's pure nutrition.
Go to melissahousegpa.com today. Discover the science and learn more about the wonderful benefits of Gatatana phytoplankton. That's melissahousegpa.com. MelissaHouseGPA.com.
All right, welcome to Code Blue. It is May the 28th, 2025, here with Dr. John and Brooke. So today we have some good news that's coming out. Brooke, you want to tell us about that?
Well, I would be delighted. Yesterday, you know, we've seen things over the past few weeks just inching a little bit closer and closer and closer to this, but this was a really big deal. Yesterday, RFK, along with Dr. Marty McCary and Jay Bhattacharya, announced that they are removing the COVID vaccine from the schedule for pregnant women and children. And this has far-reaching implications for many reasons that we're going to discuss.
Yeah, this is huge. We're going to watch a video here in a minute where Kennedy is flanked by Jay Bhattacharya, who is head of the NIH, and also Marty McCary, who's head of the FDA. These are both medical doctors that have been in the fight, the medical freedom fight. Certainly Dr. Jay Bhattacharya has. Marty McCary, he came out. He was not as strong as some of the others for sure, but let's watch this video. Can we bring that up, Caleb?
Hi, everybody. I'm Robert F. Kennedy Jr., your HHS Secretary, and I'm here today with NIH Director Dr. Jay Bhattacharya and FDA Commissioner Dr. Marty McCary. I couldn't be more pleased to announce that as of today, the COVID vaccine for healthy children and healthy pregnant women has been removed from the CDC recommended immunization schedule. Last year, the Biden administration urged healthy children to get yet another COVID shot despite the lack of any clinical data to support the repeat booster strategy in children.
That ends today. It's common sense and it's good science.
There's no evidence healthy kids need it today, and most countries have stopped recommending it for children.
We're now one step closer to realizing President Trump's promise to make America healthy again.
Produced by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Okay, so there we have it. It was a little bit staged and maybe a little awkward, but the point is he had Dr. Jay Bhattacharya at his side and Dr. Marty McCary. These are two individuals that are leading organizations that the NIH and the FDA that really are key figures. Of course, the CDC is also there as well. But ultimately, what this says to the public, and this is huge. I mean, when this was early on, this was the push to get these on the childhood vaccine schedule, and you say, why would that be? Well, it just normalizes things, as well as giving it to pregnant women. If you can convince people to give these shots to pregnant women, then you can make the claim that they're safe, because that's something we've always been very, very careful of what we give pregnant women, and it's just always been, if it's not needed, don't take it in pregnancy, and that's the bottom line. And so when they came out, and they came out in, I believe it was September of 21, and they said pregnant women must take the COVID vaccine. Here in Mississippi, we had about 9 pregnant women that ended up dying. Now they had, we never did find out all the complications they had during their pregnancy. I will say that I did find out, I believe one of them was HIV positive, and so she may have had been suffering from AIDS even. We just don't have all the details, but supposedly these women died from COVID, and when that they very much pushed that women are going to continue to die. Pregnant women will continue to die from COVID if they don't get vaccinated. So the push was on. Now, there was a memo from our state health officer to all physicians, an alert to immediately start giving pregnant women the COVID vaccine. And he claimed it was 100% safe. And so, this is huge. This is going to really affect all the states, because here in Mississippi, our health department is very, very proud to say, and it's true, that we are the most vaccinated state in the nation. And even the state of California came to Mississippi and used some of our laws to put in effect in California to get children vaccinated. And so the tide is definitely turning. This is going to be, the fight's not going to stop here. Let me just go through, and I'll pull it up from USA Today. This is the kind of stuff that they're going to say about Kennedy. They're not going to let up. Here's an article in USA Today. It says, "Please stop letting RFK Jr. make vaccine policies. His new COVID plan is deadly." So they're going to accuse him of killing people. It goes on to say that RFK Jr. wants to make it harder to get COVID-19 boosters. He's also dumb. That's what it says. Kennedy thinks he's smarter than actual scientists, and it's going to kill us. These are the headlines. The guy in charge of Americans' health is a self-obsessed conspiracy nut. Okay? Whatever RFK Jr. says to do to stay healthy, you should do the opposite. I mean, these are the headlines we're going to get, and they're going to continue to pound him. But what's important here is that Dr. Jay Bhattacharya, who is at his side, and Dr. Marty Makary, which both of these doctors are well respected. Marty Makary has been a part of Johns Hopkins, which is, whether you like it or not, they're at the cutting edge, or whatever. They're kind of like the Harvard or different schools when it comes to medicine and research. And so Dr. Marty Makary